Hello, I'm Dr. Mary Marshall. I am the Director of Undergraduate Studies at the Faculty of Theology and Religion here in Oxford, and I hope to be able to answer some questions that many prospective students have concerning the degrees we offer here. One thing that some students have noticed is that we've recently changed our degree programme. How have we changed it? Why have we changed it? The faculty here in Oxford is large, and we have over 100 academics and graduate students working on a wide range of subjects within the fields of theology and religion. We wanted a degree and a degree title that would reflect that very broad range of subjects we have to offer, not only in the classical theological disciplines, biblical studies, philosophy of religion, things like that, but also within the study of religions more generally, and in Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, Islam. So we have the new course titles, we have the new curriculum. Students also ask me, what are joint degrees or joint schools? It's a special title we have here in Oxford. Essentially all it means is that you are combining two degrees that work well together. So in our case you can combine philosophy and theology if your primary interest is in philosophy, or you can combine religion and Oriental studies. That's one for the linguists. If you would like to study Pali, Tibetan, Quranic Arabic, Sanskrit, Hebrew, Greek, and study the corresponding religions through the lens of those languages, then that's a great option for you, and those joint school courses are very flexible. So, what do you need to apply? What are the entrance requirements? It's quite straightforward. A-levels, we're looking for 3 A grades. In Scottish Advanced Highers, 2 A's or AAB, and in the International Baccalaureate, a 38 or a 39 for philosophy and theology with 3 6s in your higher level subjects. Of course, there are many other international qualifications that are acceptable as well. Check the website if you want the full details, they're all online. The really key point to remember here though is that none of our degree courses require any particular A-level subjects. So you do not need to have studied religious studies or philosophy and ethics at school in order to apply. Very valuable subjects, and that's how a lot of people find out that they're interested in theology and religion, and we value the subject greatly. But if you've not studied that at school, or even that wasn't a subject that particularly interested you at school, our degree subject is very different and very varied, and we don't require religious studies or philosophy and ethics, so you can still apply. Any subject that involves essay writing is helpful because there's a lot of essay writing in the degree, but again, there are no particular subjects that are actually required for applying. One of the questions that everybody wants to know the answer to, and many people don't want to ask actually, is does it matter what my own religious beliefs are? Do I have to be religious? Do I have to be not religious? Do I have to be a practicing member of religion? No, is the very short answer. Our students are as diverse as they are numerous. There are students on the course and faculty members of many different faiths and none. Really, your religious background and your own religious profession has absolutely no bearing on either your application or when you're studying the subject. The university is a secular university, and we study theology and religion from a non-confessional academic objective standpoint. All that we require is that regardless of your own beliefs, you're happy to look at theological and religious ideas critically and objectively, and you're interested in studying them. So, if tutors are not particularly interested in particular A-level subjects, if they're not particularly interested in religious background, what on earth are these people interested in? What are tutors looking for when they make a decision about whether or not to offer a candidate a place? Again, it's quite straightforward. We are looking for that ability to be open to learning, to think objectively and critically about sensitive and difficult ideas, to be able to manage complex concepts. We're looking for people who are able to construct coherent arguments and to rethink their ideas in the face of new evidence. Because our course is very intensively focused on reading and on texts, primary texts and secondary literature, we're looking for students with an ability to read text very closely. So those are the sort of qualities we're looking for in a student. How do we work out whether we've got them? Well, one of the things we'll be looking at is your excellent academic record. Not flawless, remember, we're not looking for perfection, but we are looking for an excellent record in your exams. We're also interested in what you have to say in your personal statement. What can you provide that tells us that you are a student who will be interested and motivated to study theology and religion? We're looking for enthusiasm and passion, but not simply saying that, being able to demonstrate that in the way that you've gone beyond simply what your school requires you to do. We're looking for references that also support that idea. And if you're called to interview, we will set you questions and tasks that will invite you to show your aptitude and potential in those areas. So, what are interviews in theology and religion like? There's a lot of myths about Oxford admission interviews. People quite understandably get very, very nervous about them. But actually, at the end of the day, they should be, if not great fun, then at least an interesting intellectual challenge and an enjoyable conversation. To some extent, they reflect the teaching model we use here in Oxford, a tutorial, where typically you would have 1 or 2, perhaps even 3 students speaking about a subject with a tutor. So in an interview, we mock up that kind of situation and get students talking about the ideas that they say interest them. Quite often you'll be given some prompt material. That might be a text, that would be quite a usual thing to happen for theology and religion, could even be an image or a situation to consider. And then you'll be invited to discuss your ideas will be challenged. If you're left with an awkward silence, if you need to think, that's not a problem. An interview is an exercise not primarily in making a presentation, in giving us pre-rehearsed speeches. It's all about whether you are thinking and whether you are listening. Listening is a really important part of it. So it's an opportunity for you to share your ideas, for you to show us how you think, to think aloud, so that we can see how you might perform as a student. It's one of the things that enables us to see how you read texts, how you form arguments, how open you are to learning. And those are the things that we need to find out. Okay, so if you're going to apply, if you've collected your A-level grades or A-level predictions, you've thought about why you might want to study theology and religion, another part of the application process is choosing a college. Does it matter what college you apply to? Well, in one particular way, yes it does. Not every college in Oxford offers theology and religion and the other subjects. There are 16 colleges in Oxford that do admit students for the BA in theology and religion, and 17 that admit for philosophy and theology, and some of those also admit for religion and Oriental studies. The really important thing to do here is check the website and check the prospectus and find out which colleges admit for your subject. If you do not wish to apply to a particular college, that is absolutely fine. You can make a thing that's called an open application where a college is allocated to you. There's no disadvantage in that. If you don't want to choose a college, if you would rather have one picked for you, that's fine. Because in other very, very important ways, actually the college you go to makes no difference at all. Not at all to your academic degree and experience. Whatever college you are at, you will get the same degree in theology and religion. You will have access to the faculty and the faculty teaching. You will have tutors at a number of colleges probably, and the degree you get, the course experience you have, is the same regardless of your college. If you want to choose a college, the best way of thinking about it is think about where you would actually like to live and base yourself domestically. Do you want to be far out of the city or in the middle of things? Do you want to be somewhere old or modern, somewhere large or small? Those are the questions that matter if you want to choose a college. The question of what effect it's going to have on your degree is not something that should worry you. And the really big question that quite understandably is at the back of everybody's mind, and not only students but parents, family, teachers as well, is having gained a degree in theology and religion, what are you going to do with it? Now, this is something that really is a very open question. I can begin by telling you some statistics that the Career Service here gathers data about what graduates do within 6 months of their graduation. We have data from the last 3 years that shows that within 6 months, well over 90% of our graduates are in employment or further study. A degree in theology and religion is a very employable degree, and that's for a number of reasons. There are general skills that it fosters and specific ones as well. So what the degree will give you, in common with any arts and humanities degree, are general skills which employers love. Time management, priority management, organisation, of course, goes without saying, but also the ability to synthesise and sift and evaluate a large amount of information very quickly. That's what we require students to do on the degree. That's what many employers require their employees to do as well. The ability to turn your hand to any number of new and challenging tasks. On top of those general skills, though, I think a degree in theology and religion offers you something even more important, that apart from other similar courses in the arts and humanities, something that our students have to do is empathise intellectually with ideas and assumptions that are very, very different from their own. In the degree, students will be required, or may be required, to understand on its own terms an idea which had its origination 2,000 years ago and 1,000 miles away. They may be required to understand and engage with, not simply dismiss, but engage with, evaluate the ideas of someone living today in a society very different from their own, and who has ideas with which they do not agree at all. It's not simply a case of dismissing those ideas, but of engaging with them, evaluating them, analysing them. That's a very valuable skill to have in many fields of employment. And it's something that our graduates are confident with and are able to offer to their employer. Students in theology and religion and oriental studies will also have learned a language from scratch. And that's a very interesting and important skill to show that you have. At the end of the day, the destinations of our graduates are varied and as wide-ranging as the students themselves. There are students each year, a handful, that will go into religious ministry and work in the church or other religious institutions, but by no means all, or by no means a large number. Many go into charitable sectors, non-governmental sectors, education, law, banking, management consultancy, retail. Really, the list is very, very long, and the skills that we offer are welcomed by a very wide range of employers.